Okay, this is a comparison of 3 different graphics tablets. This one is from Genius. Model is EasyPen i405X. This is actually an updated model. The older model doesn't have X at the end, and I have both. I will talk about it briefly. And I actually bought this to replace Wacom. So Genius is known for making lots of keyboards and mice, but they also have quite a few graphics tablets, and they're usually cheap tablets. Still, they are very good in terms of functionality. And this one works really well. The pen has good buttons, easy to find. The older model from Genius, it has very bad pen with buttons that are difficult to use. I will show it. And the tip is white. On Wacoms it's usually black, doesn't really matter. And comes in this package. In different markets actually the packaging may be different. I saw some reviews online of same model from South America, I think, and the packaging looks very different. This one is kind of childish with some child type painting, and in South America they sell it in a fancy looking box like some professional grade tablet. But this one is really for amateurs or for photo editing, I guess. Still, it has 2560 LPI and 1000 pressure levels. These specs are similar to Wacom's that cost around $100 to $150. This one costs just around $40. So technical specs are similar to Wacom. And on professional graphic tablets, Wacom has higher specs, but this doesn't really matter for photo editing or for basic drawing. This is good enough, so you don't really need more than 1000 pressure levels or 2560 LPI. So it comes with some software. I think it's mostly useless. I don't use it, with Pen Drawer and with PaintNet for Windows. That's it. So here is a control panel. And overall, the driver and software is very kind of Windows 95 look. They totally don't care about, I don't know why, but they totally don't care about how it looks. It looks very out of date, but at least it works. And this one is supposed to work with Windows 8, Windows 7, and Mac. And I haven't tried it on Linux, but I saw some comments online that these i405X work well on the Linuxes, so it will work pretty much with any operating system, and it also works with all kinds of software, including Photoshop, as well as free software like Krita and GIMP. So I specifically need it for Krita, and it works really well. It also works in things like Photo Filter, and so this one is a USB device. You just need one USB port, and this is wired. So now quickly compare it to older model. This is EasyPen i405 without X. I bought it something like 4 years ago, I think. And the problem with this one is the pen. So here is the old pen, and here is the new pen. And the problem with old one is that buttons are hidden below this rubber band, and this rubber band rotates. So when you are using the pen, it will just shift, and you really need to try to find buttons to press them. So very stupid construction, pretty much useless, just the pen, and there were some other issues with it. So they actually fixed it. They updated the pen, and now it has normal buttons. So really good. And the reason I bought Wacom eventually is because the older model, it didn't work with any software, and the drivers that they included or that was available online, it wasn't working with anything. I mean, even with Photoshop, even though they claimed that it was supposed to work with Photoshop, I actually tried and it didn't. So Genius released graphic tablets that doesn't work with anything. A really strange move by Genius. Eventually they fixed it. So drivers from 2012, they actually made this thing work with most software. But at that time I already had Wacom, so I haven't used it because I couldn't. It just didn't work. So with the tablet, at least it works with pretty much any software, and it comes with normal pen. So pretty good improvement for Genius, but I wish they wouldn't release products that don't work in the first place. And so now coming to Wacom, this is older model. You can't really buy it anymore. And the model is Bamboo CTH460. So this one is so-called pen and touch. What it means that this surface you can draw with included pen. You can do drawing, but it also can work as a touchpad, similar to touchpads on notebooks. And you can actually set up some predefined moves like for zooming, for rotation, I think for scrolling, and I guess you can, I'm not sure you can define your own, but there's quite a few predefined. So, and it actually looks quite nice. It's very thin, light. It has 4 mechanical buttons, which is very good, very useful. The pen doesn't need a battery. The Genius, it actually requires a battery, small battery here, AAA battery. And Wacoms are known, if you did some research, if you don't know, Wacom pens don't need a battery, but it's not a big deal, frankly, because batteries are cheap. Still, it doesn't require battery, so you will never run out of battery. Also has 2 mechanical buttons here. Works okay. Buttons, as you can see, they're different size, so it's very easy to find which one you are pressing. So why I had to buy a Genius to replace this Wacom? It actually works well, but about issues. So first of all, this surface, as you can see, it's matte, and this is because I didn't use it much. If you're going to use it quite a bit, this matte thing will come off and it will become shiny. You can see some, I guess you can find videos online that show you this. So it will come off. The problem is, first of all, the sound. So the sound is similar, and that's what they try to reproduce with this is paper. The problem is it sounds like you are scratching your nails on paper, at least sometimes. So first of all, the sound is really unpleasant for the most part. So this is one major drawback. Another major drawback is this tip. It's very soft. And I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but after using it, the tip wears off very unevenly. Right here, you're supposed to be able to see it in the videos. The tip is wears off very unevenly, and you can see that on Genius, the tip is a lot bigger. And it actually doesn't, it's not as soft, it doesn't wear off as fast. So also good point for Genius. This one is really soft, and it's so soft, if you're going to be using for a few hours, you may have to replace it. It's really ridiculously soft. Especially if you're going to be trying to use pressure. So when you don't press it too hard, it will last, I don't know, maybe a week. But if you're actually going to be pressing it, I think that you will need to replace it after 1 day of use. It's really, really unacceptable, I think. Another issue with this Wacom, it has a driver. Driver looks better than Genius, and it has some extended functionality, but you can define these buttons, for instance. So the problem was that after making some assignments to these buttons in the driver, and after using it for a few days, my settings would just disappear. So every few days I had to set the buttons again. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I was updating to latest drivers from Wacom, and it was never fixed. So maybe there's something wrong with this, with my sample. Maybe it's somehow defective. It works otherwise. Everything works. Except maybe this touch. So technically there's touch capabilities. The problem is it doesn't always work in a predictable way. So like if you're trying to zoom, it just doesn't zoom. If you try to rotate, it just doesn't. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this touch capability is pretty much useless just because it doesn't work all the time. So this is older model. This was released in 2010, I think. And after that, they had updated this, and now they have new line of graphic tablets. Maybe they fixed it. I don't know. I haven't tried the latest tablets, but with this older one, this touch is pretty much useless. I paid extra for this, and just to find out that it's useless. So with Wacom, the reason I had to upgrade it, and now it's just lying around, even though I paid something like $120 for this, is because, first of all, tips are very soft. If you use it a lot, you just have to buy new tips all the time. Driver doesn't keep settings for some reason, and very unpleasant sound of this scratching sound when you actually use it. So really I'm really disappointed with this Wacom product. Didn't live up to expectations. Looks nice, but there's really major issues with this product. So now coming back to Genius. So this one here, it also makes somewhat of a scratching sound, but it's not as unpleasant as Wacom, and it sounds more like ball pen on plastic. So this is plastic, this is, I guess, similar to ball pen. This is what it sounds. It's not unpleasant at all, actually. It's okay. So the tips don't wear off as fast, last longer, and actually with this model you get a lot of these things are actually buttons. They are not mechanical, but when you touch here, you can program in the driver, you can make settings, and you can program pretty much anything here. Plus, this thing, you can put here some paper, so you can make a map of buttons where you assign what, and you can actually put it here. So very useful. I'm not using this functionality, but it's there. Some people may find it useful. So this one is really nice at $40. Size is 4" by 5.5. This is the active drawing area. This is good enough for instance, basic drawing and for photo editing. So if you're doing photo editing, you don't actually need big area, because you will have to do lots of hand travel, and your hand will just get tired very fast. So actually, big drawing area is not for everyone. That's important to understand. This is good for photo editing, and for hand drawing you may want to get bigger, but only if you actually professional, semi-professional. So the size is good, and the pen is good, and you can actually use it with any operating system and any free software or Photoshop or whatever. So highly recommend for people who are just looking at a tablet to see if it's any good, and who don't want to spend lots of money on more expensive Wacom products. Okay, thank you.